All right, so the Honorable Chair and also the respected professor, the students of participants and my team from Bangladesh, I would like to greet you all by saying peace be upon you. Let me talk about myself first because you have to know who I am actually. I'm working as additional student to this Bangladesh police, but I have another address that I'm an adjunct faculty of a university. I teach transnational crime. That's the reason I call myself as academic. A practitioner at the same time, teacher. Okay? So, what I teach transnational crime, and you know that cybercrime is an integral part of transnational crime. So, I have some kind of connection with teaching cybercrime related things. Okay, so the topic I'm going to talk about is about anti-forensic. Current status of anti-forensic in Bangladesh and analysis of relevant investigation cases. Okay. So my presentation outline has some points which I'm going to talk about today. Let me begin by saying the city I come from, more than 200 million people there reside. 200 million. Hundreds and hundreds of cases connected with cybersecurity. At the same time, forensic challenges come to CID. I'm from, as I've mentioned, I'm from Criminal Investigation Department. So hundreds and hundreds come, the CID and the technician that we have, they are very much sophisticated in solving those problems. Now the question is the number really matters? Or using devices? You might have heard about regarding Samsung and Apple phones, right? But if you go to Bangladesh, a big number of people they are using Chinese mobile phones. And when it comes to Chinese mobile phones, sometimes it becomes very much difficult for the forensic investigators or the technicians to solve the problems. But our technician, by any means, they solve it. It might be on the label of using softwares, free and paid, they solve it. So, let me talk about anti-forensic in our country as I have turned the background possible. The thing is, Bangladesh has become a focal point for cyber crimes. Cyber criminals, they often create hindrance in front of the cyber investigators by the tactics called anti-forensic. In my presentation, I will try to explore the current situation of anti-forensic in Bangladesh. At the same time, I'm gonna explain some of the cases connected with anti-forensic related issues. You know very much well about the purpose of anti-forensic. The main thing is to hide the identity of the criminals. Those who are acting to do harm using technologies. Sorry. Sure. Okay. And at the end of my presentation, I will try to explain 2 investigation cases for your better understanding what is going on in Bangladesh. Let's talk about some of the anti-forensic techniques used by the criminals in Bangladesh. The most prominent is deleting data and file wiping. Criminals, they might think that if I delete the data, it will not be possible by the forensic experts to restore the data. Okay, so they are thinking and they are deleting data. File wiping software, we have found out some of the criminals they were using file wiping softwares because it is used to overwrite deleted data many times. Okay, so when they do it, it is really difficult for the data to be restored. Encryption, you all guys know about it, I'm sure. So normally in Bangladesh, if I talk about encryption, when it comes to financial frauds, you guys might have heard about Bangladesh Bank financial, haste in 2016. Okay, they used this technique of encryption. They converted data into a secure format. So you need some kind of specialized tools. At the same time, you need passwords or keys to extract data if some files are encrypted. Log manipulation, the fraudulent way of doing financial crimes, financial frauds. They think that if they delete logs, then it will not be possible for the cyber forensic experts to find the trace. Why? Because finding the trace is important if you want to detect someone who is doing some kind of activity regarding financial frauds. And if you can't get the logs, you cannot get the person who is responsible for unauthorized access. Device destruction, very much common in our country. After doing a crime, they normally destroy the device, thinking that it cannot be restored. So when we find something like this, we try to repair. I will explain later regarding what we really do. Throwing into water, easy process, because they don't want to take the pain, deleting or doing something else. They throw it into the water. And Bangladesh is a country of river. We have ponds, we call it ponds, okay? What happens there, after doing a crime, they throw it in. So we asked a lot of criminals, why you are throwing it into the water? There are a lot of other ways. And they were telling us, we thought that it would not be possible for you to recover the phone because it's into the pond. So how can the law enforcement agency know that, the phone is into the water or the device is into the water? Steganography. When I teach my students, I tell them a story. When I teach steganography to them, I tell them, ships. You see a flock of sheep wandering, right? And you don't know that those sheep are not sheep, they're wolves. They're hiding behind the sheep's cloth. So when you remove the cloth, you will find that these are wolves. So steganography is somewhat like this. You see a software, maybe a calculator, okay? So you think this is a calculator, though it is not. Because if you put key, the real key, used by the criminals, you will see something different inside the calculator face. It's like it might be photo, videos, or some other stuffs connected with criminals. There are some sophisticated issues that are being done or by the criminals when they are somewhat expert. Because normally in my country, what happens is that the student of computer science, we don't have any kind of subject by the name of digital forensic. There is no subject in the university. They study under computer science. It's a part of like MS. Okay? So what happens is that those who are somewhat expert when it comes to forensic science, studying from computer science background, they use some techniques because they know somewhat. Spoofing MAC addresses because there are inbuilt MAC address, IP address, IMA addresses in the device. So they change it. True might be software, okay. So, and they try modifying timestamps. I mean, the last time you have upgraded the folder, the time of that folder, they also change this. They change through VPNs their original network activities. It is somehow showing that this guy is doing some kind of crime from Argentina, though he is not. He's staying in Bangladesh and doing these things. Anti-memory forensic, they use hacking or obfuscated malware in memory. They use custom encryption memory resident malware, unhooking forensic tools, APIs in RAM. They do data corruption or destruction using disk wiping tools like DBAM, Killdisk, using logic bombs to destroy data upon investigation, booby-trap files or VMs that detect analysis environments. Some of the times, some of the cases we have found that they were cutting data connection on flex inside mobile, thinking that if we do that, the mobile is turned off. So it is not possible for the law enforcement agencies to recover the data from that phone. As I've mentioned, in our country, you would get like more than 10 different companies' phone, only from the Chinese. And we have our locally assembled phone. So apart from Samsung and Apple, you would find a lot of criteria and tactics going on. These are the common tactics used by the criminals regarding anti-forensic. So I've given some of the names like on device lock. You know it's quite easily pin pattern, face, fingers, wiping data, using a second space. It's like you are creating some other profile in your phone and you are hiding your other data in another profile. You're keeping your profile showing that it has got nothing or it has everything. So this pie chart is explaining, you see 55% of the cases, the dominant tactic used by the criminals regarding anti-forensic is deleting data. It's like more than 50%. The second is 20%. The 20% data goes to log devices. And you know, what we do, that we normally use some kind of manual process, sometimes giving some pins and stuff. I will also explain those things. Okay. So now what we do actually, as I mentioned, that in my city, 200 million people residing, a lot of cases, different. So what we do, as I mentioned, that my team, forensic teams, they're quite expert when it comes to dealing these things. We first try manually. Giving some code, pin, and you know that if you give pin frequently, like more than 10 times, 13 times, 20 times, there might be some kind of problem with the device. The data might be lost. This is the system of the devices. Okay, so we just give like 5 to 6 times. Okay, 7 times, highest, though it's risky. We give. If we can't solve, we go to some another tactics. So at first we try to unlock the phone. Regarding second space, we try to find that whether any kind of other profiles are in the phone. Regarding app mode, as I mentioned about steganography and some other stuff, hidden app, we try to explore whether is it there on the phone. When we find a device which has physical damage, we try to repair. Some of the times it's quite costly. When it comes to Apple phones, like 16 Pro Max, it's quite costly to buy tools, right, to repair. But still, we try to solve it because especially the CID, the forensic lab, we have got a lab. So we try to solve by repairing physical faults. If it is regarding data connection, USB-C, writing port, test point, and also we clean. These are manual processes, of course. For damaged phone, we try to extract data from test points. If we are successful, we try to do the chip-off process, and you guys know about it. What is chip-off? We go for series of processes, rebolling and some other stuff to solve it. We do chip-off extraction manually, and we dry it. After that, we use some kind of technology. When as I mentioned about drying, if we find any device which is submerged, right, flooded, the water, at first we try to pour the device, remove the barriers incurred, disconnect any external devices, then we dry the device through the dryer. Then we try to extract the data. Sometimes we are successful, some of the time we are not successful. Then we try other processes. The tools that we, as I've mentioned, it was starting a lecture that the team that we had, they have a lot of, free tools from internet, free tools. Okay, if they can't solve some of the problems through these paid tools, they use free tools. And there might be some kind of policy issues regarding using Celebrate. Okay, sometimes it's not possible for us to use this software. Okay, so we use MD-Red, MD-Next, Oxygen, Validate, or Pro, Magnetic, XOY, FTK. Now let me explain two of the case studies in my country. You might have heard about Bangladesh Bank case 2016. So the hackers, they tried to steal the money, okay, from Federal Reserve Bank of New York using SWIFT financial management system. The transfer, so fraudulent transfer, worth around $1 billion. $1 billion. And they successfully transferred $81 million. So Federal Reserve, they blocked the chain when they found out this is happening. Okay? They used these anti-forensic tools, malware, data deletion, disguised transactions. That time in 2016, we were not that much upgraded to, only to see what is happening. So what happened when the investigators from our country, they found nothing. I missed. Okay. So they found nothing because the data were deleted. Okay. So we told US government, FBI and Interpol, they intervened. Still, we could only recover $15 million in 2019. The other money went to the casino transaction, real estate purchases. We couldn't recover only $50 million. Why? That $50 million went to a person's account. Personal account. That guy, when we tried to communicate with him, and he said, I don't know anything about this money. This just came into my account, so I would give it back. So he gave it back. The rest of the money, we couldn't recover. Okay, so as I had short time, so I will not go details. This is India data breach and fraud cases. And there is Bangladesh Board of Revenue, the tax collectors. What happened, the insiders, the employees, they use some kind of anti-forensic tools to delete some of the important tax-related records for their purpose. It might be a company who is not paying the taxes, and those employees, they deleted it. And they used the encryption method to get fake records. Okay? So we went to the investigation and we tried to recover who are responsible for these things. And they used these kind of techniques: encryption, lock, manipulation, etc. So in that investigation, we found that it was very difficult to find the evidence, and they have deleted that time, 2015. Okay, I'm talking about. Encrypted files we couldn't decrypt because there were no tools that time. Now we have slow detection because these things were going a bit for time, like for months, so it was not quite easy for us to get to those criminals who are doing it. So this is from my part. I will ask you if you have some questions. And let me end my presentation by saying that we have not got enough persons when it comes to working in the coding level. We have already talked with University of Dhaka, Department of Computer Science, so that we could work on the coding level. We need this. We are very much eager, as Koika is doing a wonderful job for us. We are upgrading day by day. So that is the end of my presentation. If you have some question, I and my team members, they're here.